Self-portraits are very strange animals, and people do them totally differently. Some people create fantasies with them. Other people have a story to tell. Mine is that I have a story to tell. It just happens. It's the story of a woman with a disability. Now, it's important for me to recognize and to say that I am not a disabled photographer. I am a photographer who happens to have a disability. Since I'd been diagnosed with MS in 1988, I think I had considered my body a stranger. It used to do everything I wanted. I was a marathon runner. I'd bike 200 miles in a weekend. I was very athletic, and I started taking unexplained falls. That led me finally to a doctor who gave me a diagnosis of chronic progressive multiple sclerosis. All of a sudden, this body that I thought I knew became a stranger. And the future that I had always anticipated became frightening. So I wouldn't think about it. So I shut down. And I lost touch with my body. But it wasn't until I started taking the self-portraits that all the defenses I had so carefully built up over 20 years, because it was 20 years from diagnosis to when I started the self-portrait project in 2008, all those defenses fell away. They had to, because all of a sudden I was not just living in this body, but I was a photographer using it as a subject. And I had to get into it in a way I had not had to before I started taking these pictures. I really just wanted it to be my day-to-day life. For instance, when I would fall, which I do regularly, my camera's usually right there. I worked on the project intensely for 2 years. It was easy enough to show my day-to-day life, but to get into the feeling of it, I started thinking more symbolically, trying to say to myself, okay, how does this feel? I was scooting in my neighborhood, and I saw across the street this beautiful blue color on the grass. And I scooted up to it, and it was a blue jay, but it was a dead blue jay. And I thought, you know, this bird looks as beautiful in death as it had in life. It looks the same, but it isn't. And I looked at my little size 5 wonders that had run 2 marathons and now couldn't walk without holding on to something. And I thought, my feet look the same too. And so I took the portrait of the bird and my feet. And again, it was an authentic moment. That's been one of my life lessons, is to try to be authentic. So as best I could, it was really important to me that this be an authentic self-portrait project. It all works out. I have to take my time with things, and I think a lot of the adaptations I've made, I probably don't even realize that I've made. I'm so used to doing them that way. I started the self-portrait project primarily because my life is not tragic. It's just different. It's different from the way I lived my first 45 years. And that's what I'd like people to get out of this project. I'm just pretty much like I always was. My personality is the same as it always was. I've always seen the glass as half full rather than half empty. Always been rather positive, so I'm kind of lucky about that. But only I can show this story from the inside, and that's what I want. I want people to be able to see it from the inside, and that's what I hope has happened.